Hello, are you guys here already? Did I just see some chat in there? I don't see it on my other window. You guys are here on time. Welcome. I think I saw Polly, Megan, Lisa, and one more, Terry. I think I saw you guys there. Hi. We're sewing knits today. I think you guys are pretty excited. You've been waiting for 20 minutes, Megan. Usually I see the messages and I'll chat with someone if they're early. Michelle used to always come early, but now the way they've reconfigured YouTube, like I said, I can't see myself live. It's really weird. Like I can't see how many viewers there are and if there's someone there to say hi to. So, but welcome. I wear my Harry Potter dress for you. Can you see the print here? I'll show you it a little more up close. It's pretty cute. Right? She wins the gold star. And of course, there's only one necklace to wear with this, and it's my time turner. So, you know, I wish this really worked. Hello, Elaine. Hi, Karen. How's it going? Oh, it's a stormy, nasty day in Connecticut. Oh my gosh, it's like perfectly still here. Beautiful, sunny, gorgeous day, like it always is here. It's like I'm not complaining about that. It's pretty hot too, but it's so still here. It always startles me how still it is here from moving on from the coast. Like sometimes I'm like, it looks like a picture, you know. You found a pattern in a top version? Really? That's awesome. Because remember, I made a top version of this dress. I know, Lisa. Isn't this fabric cute? It's by Hello Quirky on Spoonflower. She has different versions of it. This one was one of my favorite versions of it. Yeah. And if it's not there, Hello Quirky is her name on Spoonflower. Just wait, because she gets taken down a lot. Because what happens is, this is what I think happens. Warner Brothers will occasionally scan Spoonflower and look at what things are tagged, and they will just tell Spoonflower, take all these fabrics down. Spoonflower doesn't investigate or contest it because they're not going to go up against Warner Brothers. And then Warner Brothers gives them like a cease and desist or something like that, probably. And they just say, oh, they're probably violating copyright laws. And Spoonflower's not going to be like, are you sure? They're not, because they're individual people, right? So, but this gal, she's like, no, I'm not taking this down. She'll just put it back up. And it's true. Like she's hand drawn all of it. So it's not like she's copying elements, I think the only thing on here would be the Spectra specs, and they don't look like the ones in the movie, so it doesn't matter. So, yeah. Oh, I hope you don't lose power too. Oh, your poor dogs. That's awesome, Megan. Yeah, that's such a great basic. I cut out that shark print fabric in my top I made from this pattern, and I'm gonna definitely make it today, probably at the end of the stream if I have time. So they just want money, yeah. Well, and like to be fair, I don't buy fabrics. I have bought them before, but once I realized the subtleties of copyright infringement. Show us the what? What is that a picture of? Necklace? What? I can't see what that image is. Yeah, show us the money. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah, exactly. Is that money there? Yeah, once I kind of got to my own place in what copyright infringement is, I stopped buying fabrics from certain people because I know the people who created all of the iconography and signs and all the stuff that really kind of makes the Harry Potter world translatable into our world and you can buy stuff from, it's two people. They're not a couple. And their business name is Mina Lima. Minalima. Oh, show us the shark fabric. You've seen the shark fabric. This shark fabric. I'm making a shirt out of that. There's a fabric up there sometimes, and it's the Marauders map, and it is a direct copy of their artwork. I'm not okay with that. I'm okay with someone drawing a little picture of a Marauders map and it's their rendition of it, but I'm not okay with direct copying of artists' work, you know. Hi, Claire. Bonjour. Bonsoir. My French accent is just terrible these days. I speak a lot more Spanish than French, and I hardly speak any Spanish, so, anymore. Yeah, isn't this great? And it's stretchy. I got this one from Hearts. So, yeah, I made a little short sleeve tee that looks just like the bodice of this dress. Because I want a shark tee. So, anywho. So, yeah, so they'll just go and take people's work down without even looking at it. You can? Maybe they probably sold all the rest of the fabric stores then. There are some fabrics you can buy from like I was offered fabrics that are carried at Joann Fabrics, and I never bought them because I always wanted my things to be a little bit harder to get, you know. Oh, Kingdom Hearts. You might find it on Spoonflower, Karen. So, okay, so here's the trick, you guys. If you're searching for fabrics that are in any fandom on Spoonflower, get really creative on how you search for it. Because you can't tag a fabric Harry Potter without Warner Brothers finding it and taking it down, right? So what you do is you go Boy Wizard or Magic Castle or kind of variations. It's kind of fun to kind of think them up, you know. You teach Spanish in France. Oh my God, I love it. Your English accent is awful. I mean, if you don't get to practice, it's really hard, right? Yeah. So I have some of that Marauders Map fabric, and I never ended up using it. Oh, I used it on a small item, and then I rethought about it. Yeah. There's another really awesome print on Spoonflower that is full on copyright infringement, and it is all the book covers, the original American set of book covers. So they were literally scanned in and used this fabric. That's not okay. But, you know, amazing fabric, you know. So, yeah, so if you're looking for Kingdom Hearts, that's in the Disney world, and so Disney's another one you gotta really be careful with. Disney fabric's gone, you know. Anything NFL or anything like that. If they have big backers, just really get creative on how you search for it, like Heart of the Kingdom or I mean Kingdom Hearts. I would just like rearrange those words. Heart King, stuff like that. And then Harry Potter, I've gotten really good at searching those fabrics, and then favorite them and add them to a little collection so you can find it again, because that's the trick. Sometimes they'll change the names of them. So that's my tips on searching for fabrics that could potentially be conceived as illegal by bigger companies. So how about we sew a Moneta dress today? So I'm pretty excited to sew this. I always say that, but I always am. I'm pretty excited to sew with you guys every time. I got my serger set up and I put it on my home machine table. This is my industrial machine right here. Mainly because the table's a lot easier to sew at, because my serger has to sit to the left on my other table, and there's like a door in the way. I know, Ida. How you doing, Ida? Yeah, like of course we all want the Marauders Map and the book covers and stuff like that if you're a Harry Potter fan. There used to be this really amazing print that was it's big panel like this, and it was Luna's face with the Spectre specs and her little like Ravenclaw robes. If you look on Instagram and you scroll to the end and you see me in this dress, I'm wearing a bag I made out of that. That one was taken down because I ordered it, and in the process between me ordering it for Chicken Boots and that within a couple of days they said, we're really sorry, but our fabric was taken down. It happens a lot. They really cracked down in the last few years. So, and they tell you, you know, when you upload a design, you are saying that it's yours, and if it's not, you're lying. You know. So, okay, so we are making this dress right here, almost identical. I just lower the front a little bit, the neckline. Mainly because the neckline being up higher in the front, I most likely wear my dress backwards. People say this dress is reversible. It's not, technically. You can get away with it, but it has a front and a back. So, you know, this was just my fabric swatch for testing my fabric tension. So I am using a 4-thread serger with a safety stitch inside the 4 thread. I didn't set it up with the thread, the safety stitch to the left of the serging. I probably should have, but I'm actually, my machine actually does this pretty good. So I'm okay with that. That looks really bad because there's like some black ink right there. Normally I would sew this in cream thread because the cream thread would match the inside. That's sometimes how people match thread in the industry, and it's kind of a habit I got into, and plus it's more versatile. But I do plan on doing cover stitch later on, so I just got some blue out that matches pretty darn good, actually. So let's see. First we're going to put our bodice together, which is right here. I'm also going to try using my differential today, and my differential is what will put the gathers on the skirt for me. I'm hoping it works. It's been kind of meh in the past. Like, it works totally fine, but the ratio of the gathers to the skirt is different. So the Moneta, have I made? No, I haven't made one with the sheer fabric. You could, because the bottom doesn't need to be stretchy. You could just do the stretchy top with a woven bottom for sure. Just make sure you still put it on the bodice with stretch, because you're gonna need that. The waist seam to stretch. So I do love this dress. It's really comfortable. I just wanted to check the seam allowances. I just remembered I forgot to check that. I always second guess what I think the seam allowances are. So what do they have here? I just noticed that my machine does a ladder stitch. Hello, Kit Sewing Kit. How's it going? Or is it Kit? Can't remember. Trim one each from neckline, armholes of one bodice front lining and one. Oh, this is if you're lining it. So yeah, there is instructions to line the sleeveless one. Let's see. Why isn't the seam allowance written on here? This is literally my pet peeve with patterns. 3/8. Perfect. That's what I want to know. All right, let's do it. All right, so I'm going to do my shoulder seams first. I got my tag pinned on there so I don't forget, because I'll slip it in on the hem. Hello, Lord Drag. How's it going? That's awesome. You're here. Colette's usually 3/8. For the knits? Okay, cool. Yeah. My machine's set up for a 1/4 inch seam, but, you know, we'll just trim off a little bit. All right. So this goes together really quickly. I've definitely, like when I'm not sewing and chatting, I can put one of these together in about a half hour. The longest part is the gathers to the waist. Hi Eileen, how's it going? It's awesome there's a couple of you on Twitch today. Nice. All right, I'm gonna leave my underarms open and put in the sleeve the way I don't usually approve of putting it in. Only because with knits I feel like you can kind of cheat with this a little bit more. So I do the cover stitch seams all up the end, that because I have to convert my machine to do that, and I like doing that all at once. There's a lot of projects where I do have to go back and forth. It's not a big deal. I'm kind of a big baby saying I don't want to do it. I am kind of a baby about it. So there shouldn't be any easing with this. Just match up your shoulder seam to your notch. And then it should just go right in there. I'm so hot right now. I wish my air conditioner would kick on. Pushing my seam to the back. It wants to push to the front right now, so I'm just kind of fighting with it a little bit. I don't like pinning my knits. It's really dangerous. Yeah, I know, Eileen. I know. It's so nice to have it back. That way we can do lots more knits. We're going to do the sweatshirts tomorrow. Moneta today. I almost did 2 of them, but one of my fabrics turned out it got bled on in the wash, and I just thought, I don't think I want to dress like that now. That lineup wasn't that great right there, was it? I did find that lost pattern piece, and it was clear across the room in my little kitchen area. So it was just the air conditioner blew it over there. So, and also, Megan, I did cut out a kangaroo pocket for one of those lindens. So I'm not liking my seam right now. You see that? What is going on there? I'm gonna, why is that? I'm gonna loosen this up a little bit. Do you guys see that? That's not okay. Where's my little sample? Let's do it right sides together so we can see it better. I'm going to loosen it up a little bit. Same thing. Part of this is because it's a print. And so what you're seeing is the white coming through to the front. But I also don't like seeing that thread right there. You can't wait for the unicorn. Do you like that fabric, Megan? Start from this side. That didn't really help, did it? I'm going to loosen it a little bit more. Actually, no, I'm going to go that way. Yeah. I'm going to go this way now. Let me see. Sorry, let's check this out. I just got this machine back, so it's all set up, but I want to see if it's the print or my stitching. Does that look better? That looks a little better. Kind of not a fan of that. Oh well. Ah, you know what? That's a really good way to describe that. It does look like a Funko Pop toy. It looks a bit better, huh? Yeah. It could be better. What's nice about knit is the seam will kind of fluff up once it's washed too, but it's not ideal. I'd probably sit here and dink around with it a little bit more. Yeah, Eileen, I know, right? Unicorns just never go out of style for some kids. You know, when they got that fabric in, someone specifically told me about it, and I was like, I don't know why you're telling me about this. I'm not like, I mean, unicorns are fine, but you know, not my thing. And when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of a weird unicorn. But I still thought it was fun. And then when she said that they had sold any, I was kind of surprised. I was like, really? But the thing is, they got it in the springtime, and it's already getting warm here by then. It's a girl thing with horses. Yeah, I've known a lot of girls with like the horse thing. I never had that thing. I was not a typical little girl. I used to play Dukes of Hazzard with my friends on our bikes. And I was not Daisy Duke, before you guys say that. There was just no way. I would have been so insulted if they're like, and you're playing Daisy Duke. No. We were just really into our bikes and doing little stunts with them and stuff. So if you were just doing the shirt version, this is the same sewing steps if you're going to make a shirt. You can set the sleeve in. That is a nice touch. So, Terry! I'll take it. They talk about rainbow as a color. Rainbow is a good color. Hi, Jan. Yeah, Terry's gonna blame me for all of her mistakes. Sometimes I just put my fabric up to the presser foot and let it automatically pull and feed it in. Other times I lift up my presser foot and set it down. You just gotta judge. Like, this fabric it's lightweight, but it's still heavy enough that it would probably push a little bit and then misalign my edges, and I'm not going for that. So I am here at the underarm, and I'm gonna cant the seam allowance on the sleeve one way and on the other side the other way so it's flatter. No, I'm not. I'm actually not gonna do that. I'm gonna push them both towards my sleeve. I can't do it yet. That just felt kind of like breaking a rule right there. All right, so I do have a pretty hefty shape at the hem. Ooh, I'm stuck. I'm just gonna do my best. So remember, when you're serging, your knife, this knife right here, my knife is a full 1/2 inch at least in front of the needle. So the knife is getting there first. So what you're really steering here is the knife, not the needle. So now my knife is right to this turn. My needle is 1 inch away. So I'm gonna pull my fabric over like this and keep it going. You just gotta remember, you're not watching the needle, you're watching the knife when you're using your serger. The rainbow all looks so good together. Ooh. You did, Jan? How fancy. That sounds nice. What are your goals? An intro to tailoring at the College of William and Mary. That's awesome. I was thinking about taking my local fabric store's class on sergers, because she goes over some things that I would really love to be able to explain really well and master. And then pass it along. But you know, and I'm actually like totally fine to do that. It's just like this week it didn't work out because I'm streaming all 5 days. So I'm over thickness here, and I'm just gonna kind of make sure it doesn't get hung up again. But do you guys find that you sometimes don't want to take a class in something that's kind of the basics, because you're like, but I'd rather take a class in something that's way more fun, like a project, a specific project or something, right? So at least that's how I feel. But you know, that kind of stuff you'll use in every single project. Here, into that curve again. And it's not like there were serger classes when I first learned how to use a serger. Ooh, you want to work with a costumer in the film industry? That'd be really fun. Film or theater? All right, so we have our bodice. Inside out. Let's put our skirt together. We're going to do our pockets first. So the one thing I do differently on the Moneta than in the instructions is I don't put in the clear elastic around the waist. And the reason I do it is partly because I totally missed that it has that the very first time I made one, and I'd never really looked at the directions again. And I probably never really looked at the directions. When I first made them, I just put it together because I was like, okay, I know how this goes. And then I noticed, like, when I was ordering one through Sprout Patternst, I think this is the one I ordered through Sprout. I can't remember, on Spoonflower. And I was like, wait a minute, what's this clear elastic bit? What are you talking about? And so then I looked at it and I was like, oh shoot, I totally missed that part. And Kirby's has that one, has that also. The clear elastic around the waist adds some stability to a spot that could get stretched out over time, especially when you're using some of the knits that are available today. Like this one here, it's kind of heavy, but heavy in a really good way. Like it feels really, you know, like there's great coverage there, you know, it's not see-through, it drapes really nicely, it washes and wears really nicely, right? So when you're putting a lot of those gathers to the bodice, it can get stretched out a little bit. I haven't had that issue with any of my Monetas. But if you were doing something really heavy duty, you might want to add that as stability. So I haven't done it. You're a makeup artist in production now? Oh, that'd be awesome, Jan. You took a 3-day class. 3 days? Is Triumph a serger? You say take all kinds of classes of sewing. Right, Megan? I know. Yeah, I need to start promoting my jacket class next week because I want to know if people are going to sign up so that I know to prepare for it. All right, so I'm just going to serge the pockets on. There are some notches here for the opening. I'm just kind of making a mental note of where they are. So I'm just going to serge these on. No, using just like, not cutting anything off. And I kind of wish right here that you had more of a continuous circle here. I'll probably dip into the seam allowance here at the bottom, and I'll show you guys that in a second, just to get a nice continuous flow, because those interior angles are really tricky with the serger, right? Ah, Triumph is a baby lock. Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's what they're saying. That's what I have. I have a baby lock Evolve. Do you like your Triumph? 3 days. You could be teaching this. I took the one that came with buying my baby lock. But the woman was so patronizing, and it was really off-putting, you know, for me. I was just like, okay, why are you treating me like this? You know, and I think like I've come across this a lot, especially because I got into the garment industry so young, that a lot of people would treat me because of my age as if I probably didn't know anything. And I would just, whatever, just kind of humor them to a point. Because I had respect for them, you know, they were older than me, they'd been in the industry for a bit, but, you know, none of them had gone to school for it. And so I came out with a little bit of skill, you know, and I really liked it, and I've been doing it for a while already. I just learned, you know, kill them with kindness. But so, yeah, I took my baby lock class, and I basically learned how to thread it and switch between a few things. I was like, all right, I could have done that, you know. So I would have liked more information. I keep getting lost in my skirt here. Here we go. Never underestimate somebody, you know. That's what I've learned because I was underestimated so often. You haven't used it yet? Oh, did you just get it? Cool. All right, so now we're gonna do our skirt side seams together. Line them up. So you can sew your dress with a serger completely if you have a cover stitch or a way to do the hem finish, and not ever use your single needle machine, your straight stitch, your home machine, whatever you want to call it. And but you can do some nice little techniques with your single needle machine to make it look a little bit better. And I am going to use my machine for the pocket opening. So, yeah, right, Jan? Yeah. So today I'm not doing that technique. I will be on the linden, and the linden I cut 2 out, and we have cuffs, waistband, and neckband. Cuffs on both, or neckbands on both, sleeve cuffs on one, and waistband on one. And you know, the fabrics for each of those lindens are different from each other quite a bit, so it'll be really good practice. And I did, you know, like, I think that neckband could work in some fabrics, the pattern as is. All the things I kind of worried about with that pattern, they were there. It was fine. The pattern was fine, except for that one quirk of the neckband being 16 3/4 versus the 28. 1/4 inch opening, neck opening. So you saw that I really just based it upon what my neck width opening was, and then I stretched it. I've actually never done it that way before, like sat there and been like, okay, here's my neck opening, here's my piece of fabric, what can I comfortably stretch it? And that was just totally spontaneous, and I felt like that worked really well, and I'll probably keep doing it that way. Usually I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna cut it 2 inches smaller, get to the machine, see if it works, and then try it on and be like, it's not that great. So why not take out that mystery before you even get there? So I'm gonna kind of smooth these corners here a little bit. So I'm going to be using a little bit. I'm gonna try not to trim off any more than I need to, because I'm gonna come back with my single needle and stitch down to about where that circle was to create my pocket opening, you know. Oh, the 3-day class was even an event with a popular serger late. Right? The gal who teaches the one here, it says she has some special training, like she's a certified something teacher. And I was like, oh, fancy. All right, so remember, you're watching your knife and you're watching where your needle is. The same. Oh, shit. That didn't sound good, did it? When you get over those seams, sometimes what happens is your needles will move a little bit and hit the looper, and that's not good. Don't do that. Usually I don't have any problem going over thicknesses with this guy. So one thing I find really useful when you're serging knits and you have this curve, think of your pivot point being somewhere out here, right? So think of it kind of in a spatial way. And you're going to want to pull over here to get your seam edge to line up in front of the machine. You'll find that really useful on really big, long, swooping curves, like hems and things like that. All right, so let's see. Here we are at the under part, which is kind of the worst part because it's an interior corner. I'm pushing my seams towards the pocket, hoping they stay that way. Of course, it wants to fight you because of the thickness. My blade's there first, and now I'm gonna turn and hope my seam goes on there. So going back and taking your single needle machine back into that little spot is really useful in this point, because sometimes my serger falls off the edge right there, and then I would have a hole. You'd have to really find the hole in the seam, but at least when you go back and tidy up that opening with your single needle machine, sorry, I keep calling it single needle, your straight stitch machine, you can kind of cover up that hole. You can absolutely cover up the hole. See how I did there? See, so my machine didn't really like going over this thicknesses when it was coming at it, since it was folded this way. It would have been a lot nicer to go from the bottom up. Then I would have the same exact issue on this side, because this side was a lot easier. Got a little hung up on the thickness. And then I'm going to go back with the single needle and just stitch, kind of blend in this seam right here, straight to right there, about where that, you can still see my notch actually, there it is, and just kind of blend it in. Let's see what it looks like if I didn't do that. I mean, it looks probably okay. So let's see. So let's put the pocket towards the skirt. I mean, it's pretty good. Because you're not understitching your pocket, that's actually pretty good. But the doing the little straight stitch is probably going to help the opening a little bit, you know. And it just gives you kind of a backup plan if things kind of go south when you're trying to navigate those corners with your serger. The other thing you can do is pre-serge your edges each piece and then stretch stitch them on. But, you know, usually when you're sewing knits, you're kind of going for speedy because that's why you picked it. All right, here we are again, trying to stack up my seam one on top of the other. That one went a little better, but I don't like the way it sounds right now when I'm going over those thicknesses. How is the sound, you guys, with the serger? Is it okay? Can you hear me okay? We don't use the serger very often. I'm looking at something, sorry. All right, so I've got these little edges kind of pushed. I'm gonna try this again. The underside one I can feel is trying to push away. I often pull up my presser foot from the front of the machine. Loud but musical, okay. Yeah, sergers are not as quiet as my nice industrial, are they? I sometimes watch other sewing streamers. I actually found one today on Twitch, finally someone who was actually just sewing. It was great. And I followed her recently, and I finally got to catch her live. So, and I totally forget that home machines are a lot louder than my industrial. My second serger, the one like my first serger that I bought that was like mine, I picked it out. It had a little plastic bucket right here. And all of this went into that little bucket and he just lifted it up and tossed it. It was awesome. You saw me there, kids? That's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to find other sewing streamers on Twitch, especially ones that are streaming so that I can raid them with my 1 or 2 viewers. Because I'm trying to get used to doing that. You don't do that on YouTube, you know? That's why sometimes I'll go, when I end the stream, it'll say stream ending for so long, you guys, because I'm looking for someone to raid. All right, so here we have my industrial machine. I'll just kind of used it in a nice little cramped space here. I didn't thread it though, sorry guys. I'd use cream if you guys weren't watching me. But since you're sitting here watching, I'll put in a proper thread color. So now would be a good time for me to do my gathering stitch on the waist. If I wanted to do it on the straight stitch machine. You lost the little scrap bucket, Lisa. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's something on my forehead. There's like threads on there. That's such a bummer. I wonder if it just got knocked into the trash by accident. Yeah, you can watch on Twitch, Megan. Like I said, I've met all the requirements for I think it's affiliate, Twitch affiliate. But except for I do not average 3 viewers over the course of the streaming in the month. It's kind of funny. I'll be like, but I had 11 viewers today, but they didn't stick around, or it wasn't for the, I don't know how they figured out the average, to tell you the truth. So, and you know, truthfully, you guys, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm not pushing you guys to do the Twitch thing. It's really that, it's just my own little things. I love Twitch so much, you know. All right, I'm just going to sew a little piece on the scrap here. All right, so the little thing I'm doing here is just to clean up my hand opening And I'm just going to blend from my seam here down to that little notch on the top and the bottom of the pocket on each side. I'm going to stack my seams right on top of each other. Make sure you stack your seam in here right on top of itself. Sorry, it's not very bright, is it? That is just so that you don't leave one out and then it'll be crooked. Oh, I should be stretching my fabric as I sew since I'm not using a stretch stitch right now. That'll help. All right, so it kind of cleans up your opening. My preference for pockets is that they go all the way to the waist so that you can anchor them to the front. Because that is kind of my pet peeve about the pockets on this dress, is like when I'm wearing them, I'm always having to, like, my pocket will get back here and then I want to move it to the front, you know? So I should do a hand holding Twitch lesson. I did that once. I would totally do it again for you guys if you want. But like I said, I'm not trying to make all of you guys go to Twitch. All right, so stack my seam up, kind of stretching it out as I go. I'm just lining it up with that notch there. This thread doesn't match as well, does it? And then we're going to put the skirt on. I'm going to try and decide if my differential is going to be good enough ratio. I'll tell you right now, I've used the differential before, even though it didn't line up. And I just kind of wung it, and it was fine. Send them there. Kit's saying, send them over to Twitch. She wants buddies. Yeah, so it looks like you're talking to yourself. I know, Kit. Us makers and crafters on Twitch gotta stick together. I always try and chat when I go into one of the crafting streams, especially sewing, because I want them to know I'm watching. I just don't get to stay very long. I have 2 accounts on Twitch, I'll have to admit. I have one for my gaming and then I have one for this. And like on this one, I don't have any of my emotes. I don't have like my Amazon Prime hooked up. So it is kind of, I'm treating my Twitch account a little bit like, you know, it's my little stepchild or something. All right, so here's my little test. And so I'm gonna check out, let's measure this. I'm gonna do some quick maths. We'll fold this in quarters. So let's see here. So it's about 52 inches around that I'm trying to get into a 28-inch space, right? So it's almost a 2-to-1 ratio. So when you're talking about gathers, you're usually talking about ratios. You need more crafters to watch on Twitch. Well, let me tell you, Megan, if you really like those little beads that people assemble into like pictures, or there's a lot of 3D printing on there. What else is there, Kit? There's I see auto mechanics on there. The makers and crafting umbrella is so big. Yeah, more sewing streamers. Yeah, the gal I was watching today was really fun. She does cosplay. And that was really fun to watch. She was sewing sequins. So I'm kind of hoping she's streaming still when I get off so I can rate her with 1 viewer or something. And then and other people can see her. Usually the only streamers I find sewing only speak German, which is fine for some of my viewers. Yeah. Oh, that'll be awesome, kids. Cosplay and crocheting. I've been finding a lot of knitting and crocheting on there as well. All right, so this is my differential, and I'm going to tilt my machine a little bit. Am I going to tilt my machine a little bit? And then move it over. I have my thread tree going through the camera. Actually, I'll just drop my camera. All right, so I don't know if you can see right here at the front. The N is nothing. It just means it's normal and it is no stretching out or pulling in. So your machine might have a differential and you don't even know about it. Sorry, I'm hung up on the thread tree. My thread tree is so huge because it also takes 9 spools of thread. I've told you guys this. I've never done that before. So on my differential, what you can do is either stretch the top layer out to fit the bottom layer, or gather up the top layer to fit the bottom, or not the top layer, just a layer of fabric. So you can either stretch out your fabric if you want, or draw it up. And so you want to make sure you get the right one. I'm going to put mine full on the 2, and then these numbers, mine say 1.3, 1.5, 1.8, and 2 is the ratio. So we're going to do the 2 because that's 2 to 1. And that's usually how you figure out pleating and gathering. So you really don't want to hold it up. Just let it do its thing. Don't pull it when it comes out. Pull the threads, like hold on to the threads. You don't want to take any of that. And then look at that. Hubba hubba, right? So I meant to measure this before I did it. Let's see. Quick maths, 11, and now I have 7.5. So that is not 2 to 1. But if you're using a really, really lightweight fabric and not a knit, you would get that 2 to 1, no problem. So now what I can do is I can use this, but my skirt would still be too big for the opening. And so it's your question now of like, all right, do I still do it and try and get away with using this for the waist? That's a better differential explanation. You got a 3-day class. Really? It's a ratio. Differential is just a ratio. Most likely you're only ever going to use the gathering differential, not the stretching out one. I've never used the stretching out one, but it would be kind of interesting to think about it and use it as a tool in other applications. I mean, like you could use the stretching out one on the bodice. This is what I see someone doing to cheat. Don't do this, by the way. It would be a bad idea. You could stretch out the bodice and then gather in the skirt, and then they probably match together. Don't do that. And let's be honest, this stretching it out is not going to work on a woven. So don't think it will. You know? I don't really know. I'm trying to think of when you would use the stretching out. I don't know. So yeah, so it's just mine is, 1.3, 1.5. So, 1.5 would be like 50%, right? It's going to take something that's, 10 inches and probably make it about 7.5, right? So yeah, right, kids? One of my friends throws pottery on Twitch. Shadan. He's really fun. He's been at shows. I haven't seen him streaming lately. And he knits and spins and weaves as well. It would look funny if you did, Megan. Absolutely. So what do you guys think? Like the safe bet would be to just use the gathering stitch and do it old school. If I did this, I'd be doing this as I sew it. I'd be squishing it together like this, which I'm totally fine to do. So it's up to you guys. Use the differential or the classic way. Let me know. What do you guys think? What do you guys want? Using the gathering stitch, it works pretty good. But, this does a pretty nice gathering stitch when you look at it. I wonder if you maybe push in the fabric a little bit more to use a differential. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I kind of want to get the hang of it. Like, I want to see if I can get it to do the amount I want. You threw pottery once and then they kicked you out of the museum. Dang. What a rebel. All right, Gina, differential? Okay. Right? I know. That is really rude. All right, so we're just going to start at the side seam. Let's find our front and our back. Remember what we did? We cut our centers with a notch so we could still see them afterward. If you do it the classic style, how do you know if you've gathered it small enough? Just trial and error. Then you would probably pin it to the bodice. Like, I'm going to pin this to the bodice in a few spots. I don't like using pins near my serger. I don't like people seeing me sew with pins with my serger because I don't want to encourage that. Using your serger is a really great challenge to get yourself get off the pins. Thanks for subscribing, Kim. Sorry, my camera's like in front, so I'm like this, trying to see. Hi, Malin. How's it going? Yeah, all right, let's do this. I'm going to start at the side seam. I'm just looking for all my little matching up points. So hopefully when I've gathered up, we'll still see the center point here. You could do something like this. Put a pin like really low down here so it's really far away from your serger. Because having your center points as a guide for matching things up is really helpful. I think I have, this is my center right here. We'll put 2 pins in on this one so we know it's the back. All right? That's how we're going to do it. And at least we have our side seams as well. You had to do some social TV watching. Hey, sheepies. You're Lisa on there. Okay, cool. Awesome. You're on Twitch too. I love it because people will watch. They'll have both open. They'll watch the chat on YouTube, but watch the video on Twitch. You guys are multitaskers. I actually watched, I was watching one streamer today, and he is always watching a stream, and I was watching 2 streams today, and he was speedrunning his game on one channel and paying attention to his chat and watching the same streamer I was watching and chatting in that. And I was like, how do you do this? You guys, you are talented. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to try and make my fabric as relaxed as possible when it approaches the machine so that it will get as gathered as possible, right? I could use my clips. I just forget to. I'm kind of old school that way. Plus the clips would have to be like this. But we'll try it. Let's try it out. I know, these are all the things. People love the clips. I don't like that it's pushing my fabric towards the thing. All right, here we go. Going over your seams is probably not going to gather much. I'm going to help it along here. All right, so let's see. We're going to push this fabric up. Yeah, right? 2 devices exactly. What I'm also watching is that this little edge doesn't do this because it wants to. This is a good time to use my awl. Keep your all your skirt up on the table so it's not pulling on your machine. And this is my back, so I'm going to push my seam towards the back when I get there. It's looking pretty good. Just try not to get it pulled out. Remember, this knit's kind of heavy. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, the video quality is better on Twitch. Exactly. Never snag fabric, what I've been saying. I'm like, my hand wants to stretch this out like you normally do, like making sure it's all nice and flat so that you don't catch anything underneath. This is kind of counter. Almost to the beginning. just gonna cut this and get it out of my way. I know the knife will do that, but I want it to focus on the fabric. So let's go over, I'm gonna go over this little beginning section just for a little bit, because I'm also just gonna use it as a demonstration. Like, because my differential isn't perfect ratio, the thought would be, oh, we'll put it through again and do it again. It doesn't work out that way. So I've tried it. Honestly, all it does is flatten out your stitching again. Thanks for following, Lisa. Okay, so look at that. See, it even flattened out my section even worse right there. So good example of why you don't want to put it back through the differential. And you know, there could be a stitch that's better. Like, this didn't do it even as much as my sample did it? Yeah, it's about the same. But look, it's kind of flat right there, a little gathered there. So this will be interesting. I'll probably be feeding it a bit. So let's see if we can see our cut. Because this was our center. I don't see it. So it's good we did mark that right there. And that's our front. And actually, I'm going to put this right side out. I'm going to do it a specific way. And then my bodice on the outside of it. I'm really trying not to get it stretched out at all. All right, so here's my front right here, and I'm just gonna put it inside my bodice, front to front, like this. And now start doing the arranging. And the reason I did it this way is because now I can sew it from the inside with the skirt up to the bodice and see all of my gatherings. So it could be, I don't know the ounces on this. That's a really good question. Let's see, how did it do measurement wise? It looks like I have quite a bit to ease in there. Here, I'll show you in just a second. Let me pin the side seams together. That way we have a point of reference. Maybe I'll try and use the clips, you guys. Such a Renaissance woman, huh? The clips are so weird to me. All right, so we got our other side seam here. It's always so awkward using this machine on my machine bed. Well, thanks for joining us, Sonia. Or Sonia. Sonia? Sonia? Let's see, we have this seam going this way, and this one is going this way. All right, here we go. Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, there's still quite a bit to squish up. You meant the clips for those. Oh, yeah, yeah. And look at, I ended up going to a pin right there. So now you could continue on. You could persevere right here, right? You could keep trying to attach your skirt to the bodice using the differential that you were dealt with. It's not too late to run a row of stitches in with your regular machine if you want to, you know, enhance the gathers. Otherwise, what you're going to be doing is hand feeding it in. The pitfalls with doing that are you can get moments where your gather will get too big and do this, or it'll get picked up like this and it'll be crooked in the waist, and you'll have these weird, it won't just fall nice and straight down. So we'll give it a shot, you know, because we're kind of all in at this point, and just see how we can do with it. I mean, it's good to know, but honestly, I don't find using the differential to be perfect for this dress. It worked a lot better on the fabric I'm wearing because this is a lighter weight performance knit from Spoonflower. I really love the performance knit because it's not very hot. This dress will be kind of warm, at least where I live. I live in Hades, so, you know, there's that. So this is the section right here we'd have. This is about our ratio. So, you know, you could sit here and pin it, but you know how I feel about that. I don't know, you guys. It's kind of a lot to feed in there. I think I would rather run a row of stitches just to ensure success. Especially since this is a sponsored fabric, which I should have mentioned, you guys. This is fabric from my local fabric store from Honey Run Quilters. So the setting for the differential that I used was 2. So I did 2 to 1. Because like 1 to 1 would be 0, right? 1.3 would be like a third of it would go in there. 1.5, half of it would be scrunched. You know, it's kind of that kind of thing. And I feel like when you're working with things like that with ratios, it's better to make yourself some really visual things to remind yourself how it's doing it. Because it can be kind of confusing. I've just had a little bit of experience. I've had a lot of experience with it, just dealing with the patterns. All right, so let's just run a row of stitches in here. I'm gonna run a couple. So let's move this over. I don't like that my thread tree goes between the camera here. Do I have autofocus on today? I'm sorry. I'll turn it off, you guys. I do, huh? Dang. How'd I miss that? I looked. What the heck? Yeah, well, you know, Eileen, I really believe it's because of the weight of the fabric. You know? So if you were doing, say you were doing like a little girl's dress, right? And you were just using quilting cotton, it would be no problem. You could even do like, you could even have little samples that you just write, oh, this is the 2.0 setting, this is the 1.8 setting, and then you would know with different fabrics, so you didn't have to do a sample every time. So I'm gonna do a row of stitching across each skirt, one front, one back. I'm not gonna do a whole long continuous one. I find it better not to do that. And I'm gonna lengthen my stitch a little bit. I'm gonna do it really close to the stitching. Oh, there we go. Because I remember I only have 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Look at this. This is barely gathered. It's good we're doing this. This is the best way to do it. It would be so nice if the differential just worked perfectly for this knit, but it just doesn't. It can't do everything, right? I love my industrial machine. It's like after sewing with the serger, I'm like, this is why I like this machine. Oh, I didn't stop at the side seam. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there and clip my thread right there. All right, I'm gonna start again. When I go at this speed though, it's just the speed that gets it to vibrate. Never like that. So when you're doing gathering stitches, you know what? Don't just start and stop at your side seam like I just did. The best thing to do is to overlap. So this one right here, I should have started at least an inch or two past, like before the side seam, and then go an inch or two past like this. The reason being is that you can't gather up all the way to this edge of starting and stopping. You need to have some overlap. If you could do that, they would just start popping off the end of the thread. So that's why you need to do that. All right, so I'm just gonna tell myself out loud I'm using the bobbins today, so I remember. And I'm gonna start it on this side so I know I'm using the bobbin and I don't forget. All right, here's my second one, right? Yep. And then here's the one I cut. Bobbin. All right. when you're just doing gathering stitches and you didn't like, you know, cavalierly use your differential, what I would do is at least 2 rows. And the reason I like 2 rows is, and then pull them at the same time, it keeps your gathers nice and straight like this, and it hangs nicer from the waist seam. We are using bobbins today. If I were alone, I would say it out loud here. I would just say, pulling the bobbin, Sarami. Because that way, when I hear it, I'll remember later, like, wait, did I pull the bobbin or the top? No, I said bobbin. I heard that, you know? So, yeah, Elaine, when I was first learning to sew, I feel like a lot of things I sewed had gathered skirts and stuff. It's probably just my age, what I was into, the style of patterns that were available, you know. So now I'm just kind of, I don't have my bodice up for comparison of what I want it to be width-wise. So really all I'm doing is just adding gathers kind of evenly across. See how much flatter it is right here? This is my start stop. So when you do it, it just naturally will start relaxing and pulling off. It's nice if you overlap. You can always take them out, but sometimes you just can't get them to stay in there when you're trying to get it. So let's just hold up our bodice to it. So I've already done a little too much, but not much, which is great. A little too much is better than not enough when you start going to sew. As long as you don't start sewing first. I mean, look at how different that is compared to this side. It really needed this today. This fabric really needed the gathering stitch. All right, so here's our bobbin. And you always pull a little bit from one end and then pull a little bit from the other end. If you only pull from one end, eventually you'll pull your thread straight through and you'll have to start over again. How do I know that? It's not going to be as likely on, say, something like a skirt, but if you're doing a little tiny panel, it's really easy to just pull your thread straight through, you know? All right, I'm going to put my stitch back down just so I don't forget that it's like that right now. So this is a little smaller than my bodice, so let's just release some of it. Now, it would be really nice if I didn't catch this gathering stitch when I go to sew in the skirt, but I probably will in a little bit, and I will remove it. And that is, otherwise, all I'm going to be hearing every time I put the dress on and off is pop. And I'll worry that I've popped a seam, and really it's probably just the gathering stitch, because the gathering stitch maybe got sewn on like here and here, but not in between, so then it will pop. Because it's too tight. It's not it's not a stretch stitch. It's not as satisfying as pulling the basting stitch out, though. Yeah, you're right. All right, let's put our skirt inside our bodice again. Is this our this is our back, right? Yeah. And this is our back. Perfect. Just go like this. Like this. So now I'm just going to pin my anchors. I know that I will pin my anchors. So when I go to sew it, I know I have to watch for those. It's the ones in between that I really worry about, and it's because they can really hide in the folds. And if you nick your pins with your blade of your serger, that's $35 right there. Right off the bat. At least for my machine it is, and I've never spent less for a blade on a serger. I've only replaced like 2 or 3 in my serging life, so that's pretty good. But really just out of like, they're done, you know? Okay, so did I lose my pins on this side and my little mark? What the heck? What the heck, man? I've got this one. All right, so... where'd it go? Let's see if we can see our pin marks down here. What the heck happened to that? Is it over here? Is it over here? Oh well, we're gonna have to like see if it looks about even across. There are worse things. You definitely want your gathers pretty evenly distributed. I'm gonna pin kind of low down here, like this, at my anchor. So I always do the 4 anchors, centers and sides, and possibly a lost eye. Yeah, that's, you know, it's all fun and games till you lost an eye. But you know, what a great shtick that would be, the one-eyed sewist. Hey, Lexi, it's going good. We're sewing the Moneta. All right, so now look at that. That's way better, right? So what I like to do is I like to get my gathers kind of even around here, and then it'll be loose over here because I manually gather the start and stop area of where those basting threads were. Typically, those just don't stay gathered as I go to sew. So I like to kind of allow the extra to be over here. And I'm just not going to pin anymore. But I am going to kind of look at this and kind of move my gathers around so they're even. You don't want your gathers to like fall short at the side seam and it be flat there. And that's typically what happens. Because see, look at that. This isn't gathered up right here. What are you having for lunch today, Lexi? Safety glasses would be extra. Exactly. All right. So now I'm just kind of looking. I just have this one and the next one. This looks pretty good. So sometimes you'll come across that odd project where the skirt is like way more than 2 to 1. And you're having, it's like as tight as possible. I mean, if it's as tight as possible, in a way, it keeps your gathers nice and straight up, but it is a little hard, and you do run the risk of the skirt kind of coming up like this and getting caught. Now, if your skirt does come up and get caught in the seam a little bit, like sideways like this, so what'll happen is the skirt will come up and the gather will push over like this, right? Sometimes it's not noticeable. Sometimes it is. And if you see it, you'll see like, you know, it's flat right here. It's usually flat right here. And then, oh, there's a lot on the either side. The worry is that this went all the way up and got caught in the blade and gets nicked. And then you kind of are in a pickle. So, tomato sandwich, nice. From your garden. That's awesome. Not as good as a watermelon sandwich, but, you know, I'm partial. All right, so let's get going on our waist. Yeah, really? I could see tomatoes with, like, tahini or hummus would be really good. All right, so we have our skirt inside of our bodice, and we have only 4 pins. So I tell myself that 4 pins. You're watching for 4 pins, lady, so that you don't miss them. And the first one we're going to take out right off the bat, right? Next one will be at a center. Okay. A 5-thread serger would be really nice. The 5-thread stitch would be really nice. The problem is there's not enough seam allowance for that. But, you know, could the bodice get a little shorter and the skirt get a little shorter? Probably. I find this dress to be cuter with the skirt shorter than how I'm wearing it today. All right, so I'm going to lift my presser foot up and lay it down there so that I don't have to worry about that. Now, all I'm worried about is this section between the center front and the side seam. So I'm going to hold that. I still have a pin in that, but it's pretty low. And then I'm just going to make sure that while I'm going, that I'm getting none of these folds under here. I'm keeping this nice and flat. You're just worried about this one little section at this point, okay? The curling is starting, so you definitely are sewing this at the right time, you know? You can get your awl out and make sure you get those gathers into the side seam. You're less likely to clip your awl with your serger. Now, because I had that differential in there, I want to make sure that my seam goes a little bit past where it was so that it covers up and doesn't show on the outside. I just had like bacon and tomato and I got a little thrown off there. Alright, so I'm just making sure these gathers are nice and straight like this, like perpendicular to the waist. I'm holding my little tail there so it doesn't flip up into my seam. My serger was doing that a lot before I had it serviced, and so it's not really doing it anymore, but I'm a little paranoid. Alright, so here we go. Those are nice. These look really good. Let's get into that center piece right here. It's all laying really nice. Take out the pin. Only 2 pins left. Okay, now we have this next section, right? So let's pull it up a little bit more. Just pulling this thread here. Alright, and now get it all nice and flat. I like to sometimes pre-rotate a little bit so that it starts flattening out. Now, this area right here is a little bit flat, so we just want to move a little bit of these gathers to the side seam here, and then we can kind of put them in there when we get closer. After this stitch, we have the cover stitch hems, and then we're done. Not bad. I'm getting a little hung up on some of the thickness of those gathers. That was another, did you see that, how these flipped down? That's another thing you don't want. You don't want the edge to flip down. It'll poke out your seam. Doesn't look very good. Alright. So I kind of want my, that's not my gathering stitch. I kind of want my gathering stitch so I can grab it as much as I can. You're nervous about gathers staying in their place like as you sew. I am too. So there's my seam, and I want to get this back on top of there, and then I will just hold these gathers in place with my awl like this. Push the seam that way. Now you could baste it, if you're really nervous about it, Eileen, you could baste it. It's no problem. Just try and baste it with a stretch stitch. That way, just in case you can't remove it, you aren't going to run the risk of popping stitches later. I'm not going to pull that. I almost just cut off my basting stitch. Alright, so here we have our last section. Is this the back? This is the front, I think. So we're only worried about this little section here. So see how those are popping down there? You don't want that. And it's really common. And in fact, if anything, the differential makes it less common because the edge has been finished with the serging here. It keeps it nice and flat and it won't roll. Because remember, like, can you imagine if this edge were just the gathering stitch but raw? It would be rolling, right? So in a way, it is kind of providing some useful function, having it there, even if it is going to make it a bit heavier, because now we have double serging. Alright, now we're getting to our last section here. how nice it's looking though. It's pretty good. There's my gathering stitches right here. Can't wait to pull them. It's so satisfying. Here we are back at the beginning. It's a little flat through here, so let's definitely try and push some of our gathers there. This has already been done right here, so I can't really add gathers to that. Alright, I just pulled the tail here. Like I said, never been taught. Alright, so let's look at it, and then we're going to pull out our basting stitch. So yeah, you can see the basting stitch there. There is some of the serging. Oh no, that's basting. Never mind. Good, good, good. Okay, take out the clip. There we go. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I did a lot of gathers to like gathered skirts and things like that when I was sewing when I was younger, and I had a lot of those mishaps I'm warning you about, and so I got to a point where I was like, that went really good. I don't even need to check. Don't do that, because in your heart of hearts, you know that there's probably a little spot that you should probably look at. And when you go to wear it, you're going to be bummed that you just didn't deal with it right then. So that's my little, like, like Sammy says, just check it, you guys. Just check it. All right, so now let's pull out our basting stitch. Let's hope we can get most of it. Be so nice if we could. Yeah, I got a lot of it right there. Especially the one that's showing on the right side, because our seam allowance is so tiny. Look at that. Ooh, so satisfying. It's like when you find, you know, like you get that tickle in your bra and you find the hair that's tickling you, you know? You know what I'm talking about. All right. Nice and elastic. Okay, I feel like it could look better. See, this is, I feel like it would look better if I were doing the 5 thread with seam. So now let's look for the other side of the basting stitch. Here's some right here. Okay, it looks pretty good. All right, so we have so far. This is so like, I mean, I would probably wear this. It's actually looking dog hair. Crumbs in the bra. Crumbs in the bra. Oh man. Yeah. I feel like when I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's a little house on the prairie. But then when I see it up on the screen, I'm like, that's a little more modern than I'm realizing. It's got good colors. All right. Let's see our pockets as well. Pockets. So I made the pockets bigger because the pockets on the pattern here are, I don't know what they're meant for. A pocket watch? Yeah. Time to convert to cover stitch. This is when you need the Jeopardy music, you know? All right. Take off my cover. Take off this. This is down. This is down. I'm gonna see if I can remember it all. And so this takes me a couple seconds to convert. That's why I try and do it all at the end. And I have my cheat sheet. I always double check with my cheat sheet. So look at this. This is my cheat sheet. It's so awesome having it too. So Jeremy says, all right, here's my cover stitch right here. I need to move this over a little bit. My little doohickey tool is right here. Do you know how long it took me to find this toolbox? Look. I went crazy. I was like, where is that dumb tool she showed me? And I didn't want to call and ask her. That's what she did to me. Let's put the differential. Oh, you know, I had the differential on, I think, when I sewed that waist seam. Wow. Didn't do anything because it was too thick. All right, C1 and C3. So my machine will do an 1/8 inch cover stitch or 1/4 inch cover stitch, and then you can bias it a little more left, a little more right. Lots of choices. I just do this one because I get the most consistent effect. That's why I do it. So, oh, you really tighten these. I've also learned that I have to have both screws loose in order to get one needle out. All right, length 3, width doesn't matter, stitch selector, wave selector, chain needle tension, put it to cover, blade down, sewing table, which is right here, and then now I need to thread it. I'll put that on after actually. And then the threading, it's only 3 spools. A name change. I'm doing for so-so. It'll stay so-so, but I'm probably gonna, is that what you're talking about, Eileen? Name change? Before I go into all that? Because it's kind of boring if you're not interested in it. So I have the air threading. Have you guys seen this before? It's pretty cool. So here's my little slots right here. Oh yes, yeah. So you just have to have it lined up with the right one. But yeah, you just put your thread in here. Oh, I have to have these lined up over here and locked. There we go. Yeah, so when I first started this stream, it was just totally on the side for fun. I didn't realize that Chicken Boots would have to close at all. Like, that business was super solid and doing really great. And because of the fire and all that, you know, I decided just to make this my full-time gig and not worry about Chicken Boots for a while. But I did decide, like, later on, like, well, I'll take Chicken Boots, all the designs from that, and make those into sewing patterns. You guys know that. I'm working on those. Well, I don't even need to, I had those patterns for years. They were really successful. And now I'm just converting them to a home sew version and using a graphic artist to get all that completed. And she's a pro and asking me really great questions. I'm super excited to have someone else worrying about that and kind of pushing me to refine things, because I worked so hard on that crap for Chicken Boots, and I did such a good job with my limited experience and knowledge of marketing. The web, I mean, like, websites, you know, weren't even that, you know. So then I just press that button and it threads it. You don't even see it on the other side though. So then, so I never really liked the name So Live. Like the word live kind of bugs me, I will admit. But at the same time, it says what it is, right? So that's what I went with. Which ones am I doing over here? Okay. And but I can't call my pattern So Live. But I've been really shy about using the term just so because I thought it was in use a lot. Sorry, it's like flossing teeth back there. But she was like, you need to think about this, and I think you should go with so. She was trying not to say that, but that's what basically she was saying. So I decided to do that. That's what I'm doing. I'm going with so. As that'll be my like overarching brand name. Doesn't that look far apart? So I'm not really changing my name. It's just going to be refined now that this is my full-time gig. I mean, for now, right? We'll see. Unless someone gives me a great job offer. Then I would just do this for fun on the side again. But I don't really need to yet. I'm doing okay. Just living off selling chicken boots. It's a gift for sure. So I even looked at having the website, but there's something up with the domain soso.com. Like something hinky, you know? I need to redo that. And it won't be soso.com. I don't even want to click on whatever it is because it goes to a really unsecure, weird place. And I'm like, freaky. So, we'll see. I'm trying to figure this out without sinking all my savings into it. See what people want, what they're interested in, see how the patterns do. Just seeing what happens. This is my third or fourth business. They've all done really good. If you're not like after becoming a millionaire, which I feel like is not a good goal to have in life, I think quality of life and contentment are more important. And I've learned that you can't force things. You just gotta let them kind of evolve and see what needs to happen. Why won't that go in there? What the heck? Oh, I have a new throat plate now, so it was a little tight. So yeah, just seeing what happens. Life directions, exactly. We in business, gals and guys. Let's see how this goes. I'm just going to do a little test. I undid that thing under there, right? Because it makes a terrible noise when I don't, even though it's not hurting anything. Yeah. All right, that did nothing. So I have something wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be talking and doing this at the same time. Yeah, what the heck? I have that one there, yeah. I'm not using stretch thread. Cover stitching wisdom. Well, if I can get my machine to cover stitch, maybe I'll have some wisdom for you, Malin. I think that one of these isn't all the way threaded through. Let's see. The things I've learned with cover stitch over the years are don't start on directly on a seam. And I have to gently pull when I come across thicknesses, you know. Definitely practice. You have to do it from the right side of the garment blind. It's just how it is. Ooh. Are you red tomato warning? I think the only kind of produce warnings we get really are zucchini based, you know. What did I forget here? This is so wide apart, isn't it? There is a little tool for threading your needle, but I don't use it. I've developed my own little weird thing. Oh no, tomato warning. Isn't that usually for actors on stage? This looks so far apart. Maybe I used the 1/8 inch apart one. Okay. What I don't like is that thread sitting on top right there. Do you see that? You don't probably see this thread right here. Part of my problem is I'm just shoving fabric through there to get it to thread, and it doesn't really like all the thicknesses. See? I'm going to do it closer together. I'm going to move one of my needles. Sorry, guys. Which one am I going to do? Let's see. I think I'm going to do C1, C2. All right, let's do that. I haven't used my cover stitch since I got it back, but I saw the samples of it and it looked really great. Where's the hole? All right, it's nonsense. So this is a really great demonstration on why, if you're going to do a lot of knits and you really want cover stitch and you have a little bit of extra money and you haven't bought your machines yet, I would get 2 separate machines. Because if you get a machine like mine that does both, at the time this machine was more than that machine cost me. And I could have had 2 machines for the same price as this one machine, and I wouldn't have had to sit here and set up again. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna do a lot of knits, just have 2 machines. I can't see back here. This is part of my problem here. Go. The camera's in the way. All right, there's one. And here's the other. All right. When in doubt, just thread it all again. I got this so down pat when I was doing prototypes for garments. It would just take me 2 minutes to do, and I didn't even have to look at my little cheat sheet. Now I'm back to being a noob. Because I saw a dedicated cover stitch machine, a nice one, for $400, and I feel like that's a really great deal. It only does cover stitch. So it's an investment. Yeah, so when you're doing cover stitch, so just for those of you who don't know what cover stitch is, see this? So this is cover stitch right here. Look at how nice this is. This is the same machine. Can you see those 2 rows of stitches here? And it looks like this on the back. And see, look, I didn't get it quite on the edge, cut edge of the fabric there. So all of your t-shirt hems, all of your sleeve, t-shirt sleeve hems, almost all knits of all kinds use a cover stitch for the hem finish. And what it is it's a twin needle look on the right side and then kind of a serging look on the wrong side. You drop the knife so there's no cutting involved. You can go right in the middle of the fabric with no problem. There's different variations on the cover stitch. Like mine will do a triple needle. I've only set this up for a double because that's triple needle's a little bit overkill, and it's kind of more of a decorative thing at that point for the function of what I like to use it for. Cover stitch and serging is really, really essential in active wear. And that's where I did most of that when I worked in the garment industry. It's a stretchy finish. I'm trying to think what else about it. It's not to be confused with flat lock or flat seaming. And so if you have an athletic top and the seams are butted up against each other and it looks like serging on top and below, that's a flat seamer or a flat lock, and it's a completely different type of stitch. And what you're doing is you're feeding the fabrics in like this, butted up against each other. They're in different machines have different amounts that they overlap. So the seam allowance on those can be 1/8 of an inch, because if you have 1/8 on this one and 1/8 on this one and you overlap it, it overlaps 1/4 of an inch total, and then you flat seam it. There's a lot of learning curve involved with sewing with a flat seam, but it's just like anything else, you get really good at it, and some operators really thrive doing flat seam. The machine's kind of crazy looking too. It's got a really thin arm that you approach, rather than this big machine head here. It's a little different. So anywho, let's see how I did this time. And let me be nice to my machine, and we'll feed it in proper. All right, so I'm gonna fold over the edge and we're gonna pretend like I'm cover stitching. So in general, when you cover stitch as well, you wouldn't start at the end of something. It'd be in a circle, like a sleeve, a finished sleeve or a finished skirt hem or something like that. So. See, mine's not feeding back here very well, which makes me a little nervous. Oh yeah, see, that's not good. Now that I got it going, let's get another piece of fabric. Generally, mine is pretty easy. I set it up, it goes. So. But you know, you're going to have issues like this occasionally with your sergers. I was very specific when I had him work on it. I was like, just make sure the cover stitch works really good, because that's what I use. You can chain off the fabric, but you would see it, because your treatment's probably in a circle, like you're starting in the middle, you know. Yeah, something's going on. Let me rethread this one here. Such a bummer. I wonder if it's my new throat plate. But like both my threads just broke again. This one's fine, this one's fine. Where's this one at? Right here. Do any of you have cover stitches? And do you use them regularly? What is going on here? Oh. Yeah, you can totally do that, Malin. They do that a lot in the garment industry. And if you don't do it that way, there is kind of a little bit of a trick to getting it all lined up so that when you meet your beginning stitches in the, you know, like when you come back around to the beginning of your circle. And I will push my fabric out of the way and then chain off. And then maybe I'll have 1 or 2 stitches hit the hem and I'll just pull them out. But, and I did use my serger for sewing t-shirts, and so that's uploaded, and it's the same exact silhouette as this bodice. So if you're looking for just sewing a t-shirt like this silhouette, that's uploaded and it's pretty quick how to. I think I sew 2 of them. Do I sew 2 of them? Yeah, I sew a boxy tee and then I sew a scoop neck tee. Hey Brookie, how's it going? Nice to see you. You'd like to, Claire? Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously not really doing a good job of demonstrating how amazing it is right now, am I? So let's see here. Let's pull this one out. We've got this down, we've got this down. Get this set at 3. This and the cover. So when all else fails, take it all out and rethread it. This one I never really quite know how to thread. A twin needle stitch on a regular home sewing machine is a lock stitch and there's no stretch. I never really realized how to do this here. Right? Yeah, like that. Okay. So if you do, you can do it as a decorative look. And it's funny because the threads article actually said to do that. And I thought that was really interesting. Maybe it's more stretchy than I think, but she kind of glossed over that a little bit and was just like, just use a stretch stitch. I'm not sure you can use a stretch stitch on those. Yeah, the backside does look a little bit different. It's similar, but it's not quite the same. Because on the home machine, you're using a bobbin. Whereas a serger, it's a chain stitch and there's no bobbin, right? And that's why you get the stretch appeal. Because when you're sewing with a regular straight stitch machine or single needle, you have your thread coming down and your bobbin coming down, and then they're passing through and locking. Whereas this is more of a chain, it's more of like knitting the stitch. And we all know what happens when you pull a knit stitch, it'll run, right? And theoretically in a lot of serging stitches you can pull out, if you find the right one, you can nick it and pull it through, pull it all out. Oops. All right, what the heck? I'm being really thorough here. Go all the way in. I don't know why it's not. Yeah. Yeah, I like the air threading a lot. I've had this machine for a long time now. Well, it's older than my daughter. I think. Yeah. Pretty sure. Yeah, you can probably find one used. And like I said, like getting the see, there's something not going through over there. See, all that should go through. Let's see if I can just get it going. I'm gonna get a bigger piece of scrap though. Ah, that's good to know. Locke talks a lot about cover stitching. Good to know. I'm gonna cut off this rolled edge here. It's just gonna cause me problems. And I don't need any more problems right now. All right, so let's just try and get this threaded properly here. See if that'll come through all this extra thread here. right, so it's something to do with the bottom thread. Ah, she's Swedish. Ah. Dang, one project and it's a mess in here already. That's awesome. I'm gonna check that out. I feel like I've always waffled with trying to use the serger as little as possible on home stuff because a lot of people don't have them. And I'm not about like making your sewing experience more expensive or saying you absolutely have to have this tool. All these tools didn't exist forever and ever, right? Ah, there we go. Look at that. That went right in. So I don't really feel like everybody needs to have them. So this is the one that keeps breaking. Maybe I'll change my needle. Why not? I only ever used it really for my clients when I would prototype their designs and stuff. All the patterns we'd make. I hate it when I do that. The needle feels okay, but I'm going to switch it out. Because what's my finger to know? You know? Oh, this was so fast until my machine won't work, huh? I'm like, make this lickety split. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. I mean, when I pre-serge a garment and then just sew it all, like on one hand, I don't like how much bulk that adds, right? Because it's like 2 layers of seams, but it's so fast to sew and it's so satisfying, you know? It's kind of it's my favorite way to sew on stream, for sure. It feels just so fluid. You know, I don't have to stop and finish those pesky seams. All right. We go again. See, that's that awful noise. I just have to do that. It's fine. So I got to chain stitch that time. We're getting there, people. Ah. There is a pattern designer I follow on Instagram, Fair Trade, and it's her last name, and it's spelled F-E-H-R. Fair Trade Clothing, and she does activewear. She's actually got a pretty amazing story. She had like a bone marrow transplant and everything, and she's super active and a runner, and I don't know, I really appreciate her journey. I'm switching this needle. That worked so good for that needle. You know, there's a chance that my needles didn't get changed during the surfacing. Everything else did. I got a new throat plate and I got a new presser foot. He said, I could do it without doing that, but you're going to get a better stitch. And he showed me. It was pretty cool. All right. I don't think I've ever noticed that right there. I'm going to be confident and then put my machine back together here. It's going to happen. It is our time. Wait. right? Right. Way to persevere, right? Well, you know. If you weren't looking, I'd, you know, probably put on a movie. Let's try. If I can't get it, I can't get it. It's not stretchy though. That's kind of my worry. Why isn't it so, I mean, it's kind of stretchy. Oh yeah, it's fine. This thread was looped in there. All right, you guys, we're back in business. It's a little tight. Let's practice, right? All right, so when you're doing cover stitch, you're folding it and you're sewing and trying to encase this raw edge here from the top without looking. So you can feel your edge right here. I can feel it, it's right here. It's not as hard as you think. Unless your machine doesn't want to start going. This is why I don't like starting on the edge like this. It gets hung up. It's good to start in a circle, honestly. Okay, there we go. Oof, you guys. I don't know, something's up. Does this need to be? That doesn't matter. Down, down. I got it all, you guys. Well, I mean, my backup is I can serge the edge. Please don't tell me it's my thread arm, because it could be. I can serge the edge and then zigzag it, right? That's the backup plan. I don't start with needles in the fabric. I've never done that. I didn't know that trick. It feels wrong to do that. Like with my serger, I could feel like it might get hung up. Yeah, right? Exactly, Nancy. And that's exactly the thing I told him. Mine started doing that tunnel as well, and it had never done that before. I don't have that differential on accidentally. That wouldn't change anything. I don't even think it would register that, honestly. Yeah, okay. I'm going to leave all this off. I would be doing this even if you weren't here. I would be trying to figure this out. I'll try and start with the needles in the fabric. Here, let me cut this a little straighter. So you just put those needles down like that. All right, I'll try, Eileen. I made it through, but there's just not much stretch. So look at that. See, I feel like this is when people are like, see you later, lady. But this is what we're all going through, right? At midnight in our sewing rooms. See, this is okay. Let's see, like this right here, that's fine. Look at that. This is the same machine, by the way. Yeah, maybe I should just rethread it all at the same time. Yeah, let's do it. Part of it, I'm worried that it's not, because my thread tree isn't all the way up right now. Oh, well, this is an issue too right here. All right, you're right. Let's just do the rethreading. Okay. And then let's try a different, where's this putting this? Let's see. I like this spacing. Let's do this. I have an idea. I'm going to move to the right side of the hem. I'll show you in a second what I'm going to do. So remember how I said I could do triple needle top stitch on here? Okay, well, you guys are reassuring me. Thanks. Like, I don't have any problem not looking like I know what I'm doing all the time, because I know that I'm pretty good at what I do. Like, I'm not to be cocky, you guys, but so I feel like it makes me a little less like, whatever, things like this happen, right? This is normal, right? So this is what I'm going to do. So remember I told you my machine has 3 needles? And so when I'm putting this through, what I selected, this is the far left needle, this is the middle needle, and then this would be the triple needle to the right of this one here. So what I just did was I took the far left needle and I put it over here, and I'm biasing it this way. Really just to see if maybe the tension is better by utilizing the right hand side of the needle carriage here. And also knowing that I made this dress a few years ago, it was fine, and that's what this is. I can tell by lining it up like this. See that? So, can I tell? Let's see. Hard to tell, honestly. But let's try it out, right? All right, so let's see here. We have this one here. That's the left. This is the right. And then this one is the one that looks weird to me. Move my hands closer. Oh, right. Did you not see that? Did I have it, like this? Was I not showing you? So what I just did was I moved my triple needle, I have the triple needle capacity, right? And so I took the needle that's over here, the thread that's over here, and I'm threading it in the needle to the right of this one. This is the middle needle. This is the left, and I'm putting it in the right. Sorry about that. Yeah. All right. Oh, I want to see. Yeah, this one's always really weird. This one on the left. I know I do that. But I don't know. I think that's right. Yeah, like that. I think I do that. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is so counterintuitive. Let's see. Like that, like that. Okay, that looks better. All right, so now I need to put this here. That creates all these tubes here to connect so that the air threading goes to the right place. You just kind of feed it in, get it. You have to have a lot of slack. You don't want it to get hung up on something either, and then you just press it through. But it's not going all the way again. I like it when it goes all the way, but it could be too long. I may have too long of a piece. All right, we'll just leave this much hanging down for now. No, I'm not doing that. Sometimes you just know that's probably not a good idea. At least I can tell people when they're rewatching, they can fast forward through this part. You guys can't fast forward. You're like my captive audience. All right, that's better. All right, so this is my left, this is my right. If this dress were for just me, I would probably just serge it and zigzag it at this point. But it's for the fabric store, and it'd be really nice if it did have the cover stitch, because it probably would be a good demonstration for them for other machines. My, I don't even know if my home machine has a stretch stitch. It's so much geared towards quilting. All right. The heck? Here it is. I started pulling that thread there. Yeah, okay, that's okay. Okay. All right. Right? Is that okay? Let's see. Cheering squad. If you guys ever boo me, I'll know. We've turned a corner. Maybe not for the best. All right, there's one. So I have this really nifty tool that lets you thread the needle a lot easier than that, but I've gotten so used to doing it that way. I kind of want to see if I can pull up this thread here. I've never done that before though. Yeah, I don't think that'll work. Okay, let's shut this stuff up. I don't know if that'll help or not. Worth a try, right? All right, so I'm just gonna go on a couple layers of fabric here. I want to get my fabric past that, like that. Yeah, like that. I'll start with the needles down. Not sewing. All right, it's the bottom. Okay. Let's blow it out again. The top is okay though. It's just this bottom didn't quite make it. I don't want to go through this every time I'm using my cover stitch. It used to be so easy. There we go. Okay. All right. If this doesn't work, I don't know what to tell you guys. Let's see here. There's something up. I'm sorry, guys. I should have probably tested it when I got back from the shop. It's probably just because they made so many adjustments. It's just probably one little tiny thing. Just needs polishing or something like that. I didn't bring it in there for any issues, just like a maintenance, and then they ended up just, you know, finding out that I did need a couple things, which was great. And it has been sewing better. This thread keeps breaking. You know, that's funny because before it was my middle one. Well, I mean, I have the manual. I've been using the threading diagram. Oh boy. Wait, the manual's over here. All right. Where's the cover of my book? Narrow left, narrow right, wide triple. Okay. That's funny. It does say to use stitch selector B. Look at all this, like, this is better than the. It isn't. My thread stand isn't all the way up because of the camera. I know. Don't you feel like that could be an issue too? Let's see if I can fix it. Because the thread stand does need to be up high. I just can't get the right angle of the camera with it. But we can try it. I don't even think that's all the way up. It's kind of ridiculously high. All right, so I'm persevering. You guys can leave me. It's totally fine. I'd just be doing this anyway. We need it fixed for the linden as well. You know? Yeah, I know. Because the thread stand being up all the way is important. That stayed there. I don't know why it does that. All right, I'm gonna look at a couple things. There's a couple things I have. Cover stitch. 44.45. Goes from the, and then, yeah. This one is so, this stitch right here is so weird. Like how you thread it. I feel like I'm doing it differently than I used to. You're fascinated? Are you crazy? Oh, look at this. There's a troubleshooting thing. Needle thread is too loose. Needle thread is too tight. Balance tension. Underside, top side. It says that's not too loose. There's no way. All right, let's see here. So we want right and narrow. Pretty sure. And you want C1 and C2. All right. I have C2, C3. Okay. Length 2.5 to 4.0. Yeah. That's perfect. Needle tension dial to 5. Perfect. Cover stitch. Okay, I did all that. Dang it. Yeah, but I wanted to be this. I wanted this to be quick. I've never had this much trouble with it. Yeah, all this stuff is like specific stuff I have. So let's look for troubleshooting. Ooh, Elaine, it does, or Eileen, it says, did you start the first stitch in the fabric? Good call. All right, so there's a few things I'm gonna check here. I'm gonna check that I have my needle in correctly and all the way. Because I could maybe not have it in all the way. I'm gonna unscrew all 3 of these to see. Yeah, they're in all the way. Okay. The groove is all the way to the front. Perfect. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Best laid plans, exactly. Okay, so my current thing is that it's this right here. When I put this on now, this table, it's really tight. See how it doesn't just snap into this place right there? I have to push it. I think this is it. So I'm gonna leave this off. I'm gonna sew a little bit more and see. Because that's different than before. It should be set up. Exactly, Jan. Let me get, look at my poor little piece of fabric. Look at another piece. Okay. And I have to eat lunch eventually, you guys. Let's try this. What is that? There we go. Making me nervous. All right, let's try this again. Let's see if it stays. I'm feeding this in because it's obviously gets hung up on this part back here. Why? Plus the needles. All right. I can see the thread in there. I just want to get it out of there. Right there. There we go. Bye, Malin! again. Good night. Yeah, right? Yeah, we should be fine for tomorrow, right? I'll figure it out. Broke again. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna check my needle again. Feels okay. Usually I can feel something on my needle if I run it like this. And I feel like I can feel something, but I think it's just the tip of the, I mean, it's probably something like a ballpoint. I'm gonna move it over and try the other slots again. Okay, so this one here. And then we'll try this one here. When knits go together well, they go together really well. Yeah, I've been adjusting the tension. What I think is that something's happening when the needle goes underneath and passes. There's something hitting and clipping the thread. It's not breaking because of tension at the top. It's something underneath. And I don't know why, like I can't point out exactly what it is. I just know that that's what it is. Yeah, because I do have a new throat plate. All right, you guys. It's sewing. It's just not very stretchy, but I feel like I can do it. Let's see. I'm gonna we'll sew a little bit more. All right, we're in business right now. And then when I bring it in, I'm gonna be like, all right, you guys, fix the stretch. Let's try. So, Malin left, but one of the things I do like to do, that good, you guys? Is make sure that your seams, like this right here, are even. So just trim this up. Like this. And this one too. Remember, this will be on the underside. I don't think so, Claire. This one's not. This is actually Maxi Lock. Yeah, it's always been this loud. What was the last fix? I just moved the needles again, and I've left off my table. I think it's the new throat plate. I think that there's something maybe getting too close to when the thread's passing through. It could be that the feed dogs are, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot going on under there, right? So the thread is definitely touching something that's clipping it. But I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I know, Jan, right? Oh God, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Nancy, but I just brought it in. That's what I'm kind of surprised by. All right, so I'm kind of thinking like, I think because it's working right now, I'm going to do my neckline and then my sleeve. I'm going to do my sleeves, then my neckline, and then my skirt. Because if the skirt has to be zigzag, that's better than the, well, I don't know. I think that's what I'm going to do, though. All right, so let me tack my tag right here in the, actually, I'm going to tack it like, I'm going to fold it over. Let's find the center. Find the center first. Like this. Try not to stretch it. Like this. And then I'm just going to put a tiny little nip right there. Like this. I know, right? I think it's a combination of the table being gone, and then I moved the needles to the left again because it's always the one on the right that's getting clipped. It's not always the same needle. I don't have a really good answer, Jan. All right, so there's my my tag. It's also not that stretchy. Thankfully, these openings don't need to stretch a ton to be able to don and doff the dress. I'm just hoping that when I go over these thicknesses that it won't break. Because it might. Let's just go one more time. Right? Let's just try. It feels good. It feels really good now. It sounds good and it feels good. So, fingers crossed. This is the thing about sewing people don't realize. You're not just learning how to assemble something in 3D. You're also trying to deal with the machine. OT and PT terms. Like occupational therapy and physical therapy. All right, so I'm going to feed this in here. Because I've done some cover stitch, the threads are all attached to each other, you know, right here. I don't like where it's leaving my tail either. This is so annoying. So see how these are all sewn together? It makes it easier to feed your fabric in there if they're not attached to one another. Raise your needles up. And then I'm just going to turn back like 3/8 of an inch. And this is tricky, like when you're sewing such a narrow seam allowance, it's really tricky, especially around a curve, that you don't lose it. Because what you don't want to happen is, say you're going around the curve, this is 3/8 and this is 3/8, but right there, it gets really shallow like this, right? And so then you come along and you pass and you miss it. Looks great on the outside, but you have this loose piece there. So we'll see if I've got it. I'm not sure, you guys. I'm going to try. But I'm going to try and only fold a small section at a time so I can keep this 3/8 inch as even as possible. You could chalk it. Most likely ironing is not going to keep this in place. So I'm feeling the edge of my fabric through on the top and keeping my left needle aligned with that cut edge underneath the best I can. I lost a thread. I'm gonna get past my thing and pull it out. Yep, I lost that thread again. Well, you guys, I don't know what to say. Yeah. Yeah, Dawn and Doff. Is that how it I feel like I get teased for some of the words I use, and it's so that is so British, or not British. I just want to say like Victorian, but at the same time, it's how you say it in the outdoor industry. You talk about donning and doffing things. Okay, well, you guys, I'm going to set this aside. I don't really want to give up and zigzag this quite yet. I want to figure this out. And so I'm going to see if I can figure this out by tomorrow. My backup plan is we'll do pattern drafting tomorrow because I really want to sew knits with you guys with the serger. So that's my plan. So we didn't get to quite finish it. Our first failure. Our first failure as far as not finishing something, isn't it? In 1 year. You know, it's my year anniversary this week, right? Okay. And see, the thread broke before I got to the thickness of my of my tag. It broke right here. See that? Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get to persevere. But I will be here tomorrow, and whether, yeah, it's a prolonged try. Thank you. Tomorrow, though, it'll either be this if I figure this out, and the lindens, the sweatshirts, or we'll just do pattern drafting tomorrow. So we're oh, hi, Ray. Yeah, well, my serger's acting up right now. So, yeah, I'll pause. I'm setting it aside. But I'm going to try and figure this out, and then so we can continue on. So, yeah, I'm going to call him and see if he'll look at it right now. I hope so. I think he will if he's around, he has the time, but we'll see. I don't know. They're really busy. Well, thanks for coming, you guys, and thanks for all of the folks on Twitch as well that came today. I really appreciate it. We will be here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific. And I'll be sewing something. Maybe it'll be a surprise thing so we can keep the pattern drafting on Friday and Saturday. Because I know people were really looking forward to that, and they might plan on it because they're off that day or something. So, all right, you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks so much. And we'll see you soon. I'll be here tomorrow no matter what. You never know what it'll be. So, thanks. I'll see you guys tomorrow.